would try to give an opportunity for some of the great entrepreneurs in our district to tap into some of the federal and other resources available. We know that job number one right now in the U.S. economy is to help get capital to small businesses. We know this is absolutely imperative. We know that 75% of the job creation in this country comes from small businesses, and we know that the job number one of the entire federal government is job creation. So we wanted to provide an opportunity to share some resources available to some of the people doing great yeoman work in our area. So we wanted to bring together some of the resources of the federal government, some from the banking community, to see if we can help in some fashion. I am very much committed to small business and development because I started in the smallest business in America, which was my dad had a little painting contracting business. He was a teacher. In the summers, he'd paint, but he could not call it Frank Inslee and Sons because he actually only had one employee, and that was me. So it was actually just Frank Inslee and Son. That was it. So I come from a small business background and had what most people would not think of as a small business, but I did. For 18 years, I was a partner in a little firm of 5 lawyers, and I knew what it was like making payroll and sweating making payroll, so I feel some of the pressures and hopes and dreams of some of the people in this room. I want to just give you a brief synopsis of a couple things that have happened. Actually, today, we were going to have this meeting with small business people, so I called the President of the United States and said, you've got to sign a bill today, because I'm having a meeting in Shoreline, Washington. And he did. He signed the small business bill today that's going to do some good things for small businesses. And one of the things it's going to do is establish a $30 billion fund of injection of capital into small community banks to make that available for lending for the small business community. And I think it is long, long overdue. I actually voted against the original bank bailout TARP bill because I thought it didn't give any adequate consideration for the community banks and the small lending activity that we really needed. And I understood the problem we were in, but it really didn't target small business lending. And I'm very happy that we have finally taken a step to help small business lending with the President signing this bill today. It's also deficit neutral, it's paid for, which is very important in today's climate where we have this huge deficit staring us in the face. At the same time, the bill established quite a few, both extensions of small business tax breaks, but the creation of it basically has $12 billion in tax cuts for small businesses. Those including enhancement for the small business expensing and bonus depreciation provision. It allows 100% exclusion of capital gains on investments in small business, and it doubles the deduction for startup expenditures. Again, these are all designed to really help where the rubber meets the road, which are small businesses, which is the real engine of job creation in our communities. Now, there's a handout going around. In the handout, it says the act is expected to create an estimated 500,000 jobs. I have no idea how many jobs it's going to create. That seems to be maybe a little stretch. I don't know the answer to how many jobs it's going to create. But I do know it's going to create more jobs than if we hadn't done this. And I am very happy to say that we have advanced the ball. You may ask, why did it take us so long? Well, we passed this bill a couple months ago, but it was essentially blocked in the House and the Senate. One of the parties believed that it was just not a wise move, and so they filibustered it and blocked it in the House, and we were eventually able to overcome that filibuster. So I'm happy that we had some progress. I want to mention one other thing that you may be aware of that is some progress, and that is we know how hard it is for small businesses to finance health insurance for their employees. I'm happy to see that in the health care reform bill, we had a provision that's going to provide a pretty healthy tax break of starting at 35% and up to 50% for small businesses, a tax credit for small businesses that provide health insurance for their employees. Now, this is aimed for quite small businesses of 25 employees, so it's for the smallest of the small. But it's something that we hope there are going to be a number of businesses in my district that can avail themselves of this tax credit to help them get insurance for their employees. It's just one of the small things. So there is some good news in a very, very difficult time, and we know how difficult this time has been. I'm a baby boomer. This is a once, we hope, in a lifetime event for this generation. I think we have dodged the second Great Depression, and now we are on a very, very long slope back. And I wish I could tell you I've got a magic potion to snap my fingers to make this a short-term recovery. But I think this is going to be a long slog out of this recession that is still very deep. You know, the experts who evaluated this said that the recession ended last summer. You know, that's just not the planet I'm living on. That's what the naked statistics show, but that's not what I'm feeling in my community. And we've still got 9.5% unemployment. So we want to do some reasonable things to help accelerate this recovery as much as we have. Again, I think we've had success dodging the nuclear weapon of the Great Depression, but now we've got to try to accelerate that recovery. So I just want to report to you a couple good things that I think are helpful. I want to turn it over to some real experts, and I've got another meeting I've got to get to Kitsap County to tonight, but I would love to stand for questions, easy questions, softball questions, gentle criticisms. I'm sure this is one of those.
It is very gentle. First of all, thank you for all of this. And secondly, I saw your presentation at the AT&I, and I thought it was an excellent presentation, and I appreciate your support of that community. But thirdly, the community banks. Who are they and when?
Who are they?
Who is going to get money and when?
Well, first off, I've ensured that this is going to be fair. And what I mean by fair is half of the money will come to banks in my district and half will be spread around the rest of the country. That's the one thing that will be fair. You know, I'm embarrassed. I do not have the dollar number that defines the beneficiaries. And I will get that to you. And we will distribute, if everybody left their email or fax, or we will get an answer to that question for you.
Thank you.
Now, let me make one comment about community banks at the moment. We know the fragility that many have been in, and a number still are. Part of this is just an inescapable of the collapse of the real estate bubble. I'll mention one other concern I have, and that is that I think the regulatory approach that we've taken to some community banks has swung a little bit too far. You know, the pendulum was over here where we were lending to dead people and chimeras and everything else. I do have a little concern that the regulatory climate has now swung back the other direction in requiring, in the assessment of the status of our banks, have essentially not allowed us to take any credit whatsoever for the ongoing value of businesses. And now we're only valuing the real estate hard value mark to market without any consideration of ongoing value of the businesses of these loan portfolios that are outstanding. It's something that I have talked to the regulators about. I know quite a number of my colleagues have talked about. To me, it doesn't make sense to treat one loan where there's no history of repayment and another loan where you've had 4 generations and the business has never missed a payment in 4 generations, and treat them just the same. And that's kind of what we're doing in our regulatory climate right now. So I have tried to argue with the regulators to rethink that with only marginal success today. I think that's worthy of consideration. Yes?
I know you are very much interested in energy solutions. You have been in the energy committee.
Yep.
I have just 2 small questions. Department of Energy and most of the other agencies that are trying to give funds to small businesses, there's 2 quotes to the whole thing, that is holding solutions. One is, oh, you are interested in a solution, how much you have to put down.
Right.
Unless we have money to put down like 20% or 30%,
right,
they hold the rest of the money.
Right.
We have ideas and start small businesses, right, and that becomes, only the big players then play.
Right.
That's one thing that is holding us from reaching a solution.
Right.
The second thing is, they always want an off-the-shelf solution. I want a mango pickle and I want it today.
Right.
And companies say, yeah, we got a mango pickle. They don't even have a mango tree in their backyard. So there should be some, and again, they're coming always pointing Congress. Oh, it's a Congress mandate. It is not for research. It is for off-the-shelf solution. And they require that you need 30%. So it looks like every time they point the finger at Congress, and I don't know if you're aware of it, if you can look into it.
This is a real challenge for us, and part of it is DOE administrative decision-making, and part of it is Congress. I do believe the Department of Energy can and should do a better job of targeting small businesses, because we have not got a lot of small business participation in these most recent programs. The DOE has made a lot of strides and has done a really good job compared to, frankly, the DOE of 2 or 3 years ago, actually getting money out the door. What we have not done a good job on is making it accessible to smaller businesses relative to the larger applicants. And we can do a better job on that. I can pledge to you, we have a new guy who's taken over this department. The other guy is retiring this week or this month. And I'm going to sit down with the new guy at the DOE and try to again have this discussion with him. I'll be thinking of you when I do that. It's very, very important. Now, there is an ongoing issue that we have to solve. We don't have an energy policy in the United States, which is amazing to me at this late date. We passed a clean energy bill in the House of Representatives in August 2009, and the United States Senate has not passed a single energy bill. We had a comprehensive bill we passed in August 2009, but we can't break a filibuster for an energy bill in the Senate. And it is extremely frustrating, because the bill that we passed in the House had billions with a capital B that would have been available for not only research and development, but commercialization. One of the things I wrote into the bill was the creation of a green bank that would provide lending for the first commercial scale of these new technologies. Because the first commercial scale, we actually have to build the first manufacturing plant. Those are multi-million-dollar operations. And banks won't lend for that first commercial scale operation. So in our bill, I wrote a green bank, and we want to get that bill through. So hopefully miracles will happen, we'll get it through the Senate at some point. I have time for one more question if there's a yes.
Well, as this money is being distributed to these local banks, as we know in the past, those major banks have got all this money kind of set on those funds.
Right.
What's going to stop that from happening this time around to small business?
Well, we are going to take out 3 hammers in Congress to hammer the regulators in that regard. Now, we don't have authority to shut down the bank if that doesn't happen. But there are things in the regulatory toolbox that we can use. I can just tell you my assessment. I think this has a high probability of significant increase of lending. That's my assessment. And a year from now, I hope we'll have a discussion. We'll see that it's right. But I'll tell you, they will have Congress all over them if this does not happen, with this amount of capital flowing into the institutions. And we will be, they will be looking to target institutions that do have the capability of actually getting the money out the door. So we're going to have a little better targeting than we have in the past in the TARP program. So a year from now, you and I can have this discussion to see if I was right.
That's
hopefully we will. Yes, I'm very hopeful. I need to excuse myself. I want to thank you. I hope you'll feel free to favor me with your emails or questions or ideas in the future. This is the secret for the economic growth, and I will get a report from my staff when you guys are done. Thanks a lot. I'm going to do it too. Thanks a lot.